Hey Vikings fans, Tyler here to talk to you about Pick and Shovelware and pickandshovelware.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, all kinds of fun, different Minnesota sports clothing items and apparel options. We got a deal going with them right now where if you buy whatever you want, enter the promo code Bleeding Purple, all one word, and you will get free shipping. That is promo code Bleeding Purple, pickandshovelware.com. Make sure you go ahead and check it out. Okay, let's start the show.
Bleeding Purple Podcast.
Deep drop, steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side. Oh my God! Stay on! Oh my God! 30! Are you kidding me? It's the Minneapolis Northway! Step on Diggs! And the Minnesota Vikings have walked off on the New Orleans Saints. It's a 61-yard Minneapolis miracle. I can't believe what I just saw. Oh, what an unbelievable play.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to Bleeding Purple, a podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. My name is Tyler Haig, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Adam Patrick. Can you hear me, bud?
Yeah.
All right. God, see? I don't even need to ask anymore. We just are. This is no big deal. We're not going to screw this up anymore, I don't think. So, hey. Hi. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. Welcome,
Yep.
Adam. Did you know, Adam, that the Vikings, they made a move today? Had you heard about this?
They signed a long snapper or something?
No, had nothing to do with the special teams at all, which might surprise, some people. Offensive coordinator. They fired the
They got a new
offensive
one?
coordinator. I mean, kind of. He's been there the whole time. Even was there before this coordinator was hired.
Yeah. It's been there for a while.
For a really long time. I knew he'd been there a long time. Kevin Stefanski is the name of the guy who's taking over, by the way, for those who are not in the know. He's been the quarterback's coach, but he's been a ton of different things. He showed up with Childress. That's how long he has been in the organization. That's a long time, especially in today's NFL standards, to be in one place for that long. Kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the new offensive coordinator. He's going to be calling the plays. John Defilippo out. We've been complaining. Maybe complaining is the wrong word. We have been critiquing the offensive coordinating, for lack of a better term, for several weeks now, as have many others. They make a move today finally after the bleep show that was that performance in Seattle on Monday night. So I'll ask you, Adam, what do you think of the move? Period. End of sentence.
I think it was a good decision. I think it was inevitable. The writing was on the wall, all the cliches that you can figure out to say for this. Just from the performance of the offense, and then it seemed like there was maybe a little bit of tension between Mike Zimmer and John Defilippo on how the offense should be ran. Mm-hmm. I think the head coach ultimately probably has the final say in that, but it didn't seem like that was going on. And, just whatever wasn't working well continued last night against the Seahawks, and Zimmer said, okay, fine, see ya.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it. The inevitability of this, I think, was what made the most sense to me. After last night, there's no way he's coming back next year. There's no way he's the guy going forward. So to just decide, okay, we're going to cut you loose, see what Kevin Stefanski can do. All things considered, I am dare I say, almost impressed by the move. Because I would not have expected them to put somebody else in, let him go, and then try and
this late in the season still
and try and install something new, which obviously is the goal here, correct? Because why would you bring somebody new on if...
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily installing something new, but more of just calling a different variety of plays.
Yeah.
They're probably going to have the same terminology or play calls or whatever, but
for sure.
But just calling a different variety, more runs, more, whatever, just to get the offense flowing, because it hasn't been.
Oh, it's been ugly. And they did wind up scoring. What was that? 21-7 was the final score. So, yeah. Here's what frustrates me from
yeah.
like a statistics perspective. People are going to look back on this and look back on this season for Kirk Cousins and be like, he wasn't even that bad. But like, you watch that game, I watched that game, very unimpressive. You can say whatever you want about him being bad or however, but for the sake of this argument, unequivocally not impressive.
No,
he still finishes with a touchdown, 203 yards, and that's going to look normal when you look at it on the
same
stat
thing
sheet.
with Thielen last night.
Yeah.
Thielen, he had like most of his yards came on that final drive, which he made known through the ESPN microphones.
God, that was wonderful. that turns out he thought he'd been open all day, the whole game.
Yeah.
But I mean, just
I don't
real
know.
quick on the Thielen thing, that is such a perfect glimpse, such a perfect encapsulation of where this team is right now. Where like your best play, that was a successful play, and it was met with anger.
Yeah, Mr. Quiet Pants usually is speaking up. Usually not one to rock the boat.
Totally. Mr. Quiet Pants in the last 2 weeks has been arguing with the greatest coach of all time.
But after the game, him and Diggs did their usual, the offense has to make more plays. It's on all of us. It's not, anyone. It's not the quarterback. It's not the play calling. So, I mean, everyone's obviously frustrated.
Yeah.
But the thing with Cousins is, he might struggle in these games, but what are the Vikings' other options? They're not giving him a lot of help. They know that Diggs and Thielen are going to be doubled or tripled on the outside, so they're not doing anything to really, combat that. They're not, trying to put other guys in space other than have them run short slants or curl routes or just send Cook on the outside for just a shallow slant or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it just feels like last year with Shermer, going into each game he would have a different game plan for each specific defense that he was going against, and he would exploit their weaknesses. And this year it just seems like Defilippo is going into each game with basically the same game plan. Mm-hmm. Nothing's different, based on what team they're playing.
Yeah.
It's just, we're going to run our offense, and if the defense can't stop it, then they can't stop it.
Yeah. And it is a fine line between, it's like bands, it's at what point do all of your songs sound the same versus what is your sound? You know, it's yes, that your offense can be your offense, but you have to be able to change it a little bit depending. But I think you nailed it with the Shermer thing, and whether or not the game plans are that different based on the opponent. When Shermer was calling the plays, it was so pronounced what his plan was. You could tell within the first drive what he was trying to exploit on the defense of the other team. And with Defilippo, you cannot see that. Or at least I can't. I should speak for myself. I don't know what his plan is most of the time. I can tell he wants to run the ball more, but...
Yeah. I definitely feel like Defilippo's play calling was more predictable too, as well. Mm-hmm. As well, even we saw last night in the short down, short yardage situations, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1. He brings in a jumbo package, brings in Latavius Murray. I wonder who's going to get the ball.
Yeah,
everyone in the stadium knows who's going to get the ball, and the Vikings haven't been successful on those types of situations this year. But yet, they continued to do that. It's almost like Defilippo was like, "Fine, you wanted me to run, so here we go. I'm not even going to try, but here you go. Here's your run."
Oh my God, here it is. I'm so glad you said that. This is my. It's not a hot take, but here's my analogy. It's like when your wife or girlfriend or whatever tells you to clean the house. There are two ways to clean that house. You can clean that house the way you know that she wants it clean, or you can clean it where you're done doing that job now. Defilippo was just cleaning the house. He wasn't cleaning the house the way Zimmer wanted the house cleaned.
You can vacuum and throw stuff away, or you can just shove everything under the couch.
Totally. And he was shoving everything under the couch. He'd be like, it's clean. There's nothing on the floor. I don't know what you want from me. And I've been that guy. I have been I cleaned here. I know. But we all know that there's a difference between that. And that, I think, is what Zimmer was looking for. Zimmer was the, upset fiance, girlfriend, wife being like, I don't want you to clean, John. I want you to want the house to be clean. That was what Zimmer was saying this whole time. That's my
Clean the house.
my hot analogy. Yeah, but because you can. And was he running the ball? Yeah, he was definitely running the ball. Was the house clean? Yeah, it was definitely clean. But you're still in trouble.
Yeah, was he
still
finding?
got divorced?
Was he finding creative ways to run the ball, or was he just running the ball for the sake of running the ball?
That's exactly it. That's the perfect way to say it. Running the ball for the sake of running the ball is not doing the offense any favors. Yeah. Here's the other thing real quick I wanted to talk about with the as far as the former offensive coordinator is concerned. How much of it, not that we need to do placing blame or anything like that, but do you think problems are alleviated with a better offensive line? Do you think a portion of the blame on this can go to the offensive line? Or are you kind of where I'm at, where that's your bleeping job? It doesn't matter who the offensive line is. Your job as the offensive coordinator is to make it work. And you were not making it work, so you have to go. That's where I'm at with it. But I understand the side.
Was the offensive line good last year? I mean, they had better numbers, but
look around the NFL.
That was because
nobody's offensive line is good.
Yeah,
they're all garbage.
Not even like the Cowboys. They're supposed to be known for having one of the best offensive lines, and they still get pressure and have struggled to run the ball sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, there's offensive lines that are better than others, but there's no one that's oh my god, they're amazing. There's no 90s Cowboys or anything like that.
Anybody who's coaching an offense, who's coordinating an offense, is going to have to deal with issues on their offensive line. That's part of the job. And now,
I look at the Chiefs. I feel like Patrick Mahomes gets pressured all the time, and that offense is fine.
Totally. Well, just look, even last year. Was the offensive line better last year than it has been this year? Debatable. But that offense moved the ball a lot more effectively last year than they're moving the ball
Latavius Murray.
With Latavius Murray and no Dalvin Cook.
And then people are like, "Oh, bring back Jerick McKinnon." I don't think so.
No,
Dalvin Cook's good.
Another thing I'll say
he needs
real quick.
The ball more.
Yes, he does. And
I don't know why that's
in such predictable fashion. It's so easy to say this after the game, just don't get him the ball, but not like that. I mean, that's such an easy take to have. But you got to be more creative than that. You can't give him the ball like that.
If he lines up as a receiver and there's a linebacker on him, just throw to him no matter what. That linebacker's not going to be able to hang with him.
Yeah,
everyone knows that. Why is that so easy for us to figure out? But a guy who's in charge of the offense or even the quarterback can't figure that out.
Oh, here's the other thing real quick about. Well, never mind. We'll get to it in a second. Back to the offensive coordinator. The big question: can this save the season? And I ask you this as kind of a double-edged sword. What does save the season mean to you? Because to me, save the season, deep run into the playoffs, does this even look like a Super Bowl caliber team? Is that even a dream that we should hang on to at this point, Adam?
Not right now. But the talent is there. Talent's still there.
Totally.
Everyone knows that this team is very capable and very talented and capable of hanging with anybody in the NFL. It's not a crazy statement to make. They hung with the Chiefs, they hung with the Rams, not the Chiefs, the Saints, they hung with the Rams. They came close to beating the Bears.
Mm-hmm. It turns out the Bears are pretty good. And they hung with
the Patriots basically until the fourth quarter. So the talent is there. They just haven't been able to put together a complete game, and the defense has been playing good. Mm-hmm. They're not playing the way they were last year, but I think the team last year depended a lot on having the lead. The defense, the offense has the lead, so the defense can pin their ears back and go after the quarterback, and coverage gets easier because quarterbacks are just throwing the ball over the place like Russell Wilson last night.
Yep. Oh my God, that throw at the end of the half was just I couldn't even handle how bad. I told my girlfriend, I was I would have gotten yelled at by my high school. If I would have done that in high school, I would have gotten benched.
I tweeted it. I thought he was Kirk Cousins out there. That was the play you would expect from Kirk Cousins.
Ugh.
When he threw the ball to Latavius Murray right behind him.
Behind him, 4 yards directly behind him. Did you see the screenshot of that where his back is to Thielen, who's like breaking open and nobody's over there? Yeah, just unbelievable. So do you think this offensive quarter, can the season be saved?
I think they have the talent. I still do think they have the talent to get to the Super Bowl, but I think a saved season would probably be like making it to the NFC Championship, depending on how these final 3 games go, how they perform on offense. I think you can build some confidence going into the playoffs. The Cowboys they're going to play probably the Cowboys or the Bears in the first round. If they make the playoffs, they can beat those teams. And, the Saints or the Rams, or they can beat those teams. They're not. Yeah. It's not a crazy thought to have.
That's 100% the way to look at it.
And they probably have to win all of their the remaining 3 games. They have to. They can't afford a loss. I mean, I know everyone else in the NFC is just like pretty much handing them a playoff spot.
Nobody wants it, but
no, like the Giants still have a chance to get in the playoffs. That's how bad it's been. But
outrageous.
They in order to like do anything this season, they have to win their next 3 games, which is very possible. It's not like they're they're not down a huge star players or anything. No. So they have the people there to get the job done. They just need to put together a complete game.
I agree.
I mean, you look on the other side of the field last night, the Seahawks did horrible passing the ball, but they ran the ball like 40 times and they got 150 yards.
Yeah.
They just, even no matter like how many times they got stuff for a loss, ran the ball. And they had different guys in there, so it would mix things up. I feel like Latavius Murray now, he only comes in for short yardage situations and surprise, he gets the ball.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. The predictability in the personnel when somebody comes in. If Treadwell is one of only 2 guys split wide, it's going to be a run. And it's not even. So
a 2-yard pass.
That too. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the easy, quick comparison is the what was that Ravens team that won the Super Bowl? Was that 2012?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
A lot of people have been saying that.
It's a good reference to have, to be like, this can happen. But
that's exactly right. It can happen. That doesn't mean.
I think they also had 9 wins when they made that decision.
They sure did. They won their division and finished with 10 wins. Yeah, and for the Vikings to make the playoffs, I feel like they have to win these games. I don't necessarily like if they get into the playoffs without winning out. I don't think that's necessarily a death sentence, because I think they can continue to get better, and I think that every week, if we're seeing progress, I think hope can. I think that just to be in the tournament is a big deal.
Like the Ravens.
Totally.
Showed.
Yeah. So I think. Do I expect the season to be saved? Absolutely not.
At this point, you can't really.
Yeah, the ship is kind of sinking right now, a little bit.
I mean, they're going to play the Dolphins on Sunday, and if they get a win there or blow them out or whatever, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, they're back."
And that's 100% it. And also, if they win a playoff game this year, we're never going to talk about any of this stuff. Or like Zimmer is, I can't believe it. 4 offensive coordinators in 5 seasons. Maybe he's part of the problem. Like, everybody chill. It's going to be okay. I don't think this offensive coordinator was the right fit.
Yeah. Zimmer also has more wins in 4 years, the first 4 years, than any other Vikings coach.
Mm-hmm. And you know what else I also think is the worst thing that happened to this season was last year. Because it just put an outrageous amount of expectation and there's a ton of people paying attention to what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Oh, yeah. The casual fans. They're like,
well, that too.
Kirk Cousins isn't worth the money.
That's exactly it. But takes like that, like constant all the time, just that expectation is that one guy on one player. And what we're talking about here is a first-year offensive, or I shouldn't say first year, but his first year as offensive coordinator here, who's now gone. We're talking about an offensive line coach who passes away literally days before the season starts. You're talking about a new quarterback in a new system who's never been here before, never played under these coaches before. Like, this is all, if we would have been able to stop a little bit and take a breath, take a step back and look at what this was, realistically, we should have seen
Kicker.
Yeah, all of these things. We should have been able to see 7, 8 wins, 9 wins, maybe. But we were also jazzed, myself included, jazzed about how good they looked last year and how it was like, because there were obvious shortcomings on the team. There were obvious weaknesses offensively for them last year. But they had a coaching staff in place that could like pull it off, that, you know, were able to alleviate some of those issues and be productive. And that just ain't happening this year.
Well, I think people were excited too because we were told that Defilippo's offense was going to be very similar to Pat Shurmur's, and it's not.
No, not at all.
It's instead of, you know, asking Cousins to, you know, not put the whole offense on his back, he's been asked to do that this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's on Defilippo or the front office being like, hey, we paid this guy lots of money, so he should be the center of the offense. I don't think that's Zimmer's call because he likes to run the ball. But, yeah, it's just like looking at his Cousins' numbers this year, like his passing attempts, he's had over like 40 passing attempts, or he's had over 35 passing attempts in like all but 2 games, and Case Keenum had like 9 games of under 35 pass attempts last year.
Yeah.
That's why Case Keenum was never successful when he threw the ball a lot. Like,
no,
whenever,
those were the worst games last year. The ones where he was forced to throw the ball
and
a lot. They looked horrible.
That's what Cousins is doing this year. And I looked up like stats. Like, this is true for pretty much every quarterback. If you throw for like 40 passes or more, your chances of winning are not that well. I think Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Stafford, they all have winning percentages below 40 when they throw for 40 or more passes. It's just not an effective way to go about winning a game because you're stopping the clock constantly. You don't have a run game, you know.
Yeah, or also would lead you to believe that you are losing that game the whole time because it's forcing you to do that. You're forced to pass it many times because you're down by too much. Yeah, it's all bad. And here's the other thing too is that all of these things help each other. You know, if you run the ball better, it's easier to pass. If it's easier to run the ball, then pass blocking becomes less crazy.
If you want to pass a lot, there's ways to do that.
Yes, you
and
can still do that.
Still run the ball effectively too.
Yes, and that to me was the worst thing that you can do in the NFL on offense is to become one-dimensional.
Well, it's kind of how
the defense can expect what you're going to do, and you're donezo. And that was
it's basically what the opposite of what the Vikings were with Adrian Peterson, where everyone knew they were going to run the ball like 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And so when they had to pass, when it was like third and long situations, everyone knew they were going to pass.
Yeah.
So they just sent a blitz after the quarterback, and Teddy and Sam Bradford got killed.
Yes. Thank you for bringing up Sam Bradford. Thing I noticed about Kirk Cousins last night.
You want to know how many wins Sam Bradford has when he passes for 40 times or more?
Yeah, how many? None?
2.
Interesting.
Out of like 21 games.
Kirk Cousins has a lot of... Last night, he was seeing a lot of ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
It looked a lot like Bradford.
They didn't have a lot of pressure.
No, it was like arguably the best. It was only 25, according to Pro Football Focus, it was only 25% of his dropbacks was he being pressured, which that's a decent number. We could have lived with that if some other things would have gone our way.
Focused on more coverage than anything else.
Did they double?
I feel like that's what the Patriots did too.
Yeah, because they're not worried about anything else. Because you're not going to run the ball.
Nope.
Do you think this offensive coordinator, Stefanski, can help this offensive line, or do you think this offensive line is just a disaster and it all kind of stems from that? Because I'm starting to feel like if Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball backwards because he's terrified that he's going to get destroyed, which was pretty obviously the case, what are we going to be able to do from an offensive standpoint that is going to get him to a point where he's going to feel comfortable in the pocket again?
I mean, the Seahawks are pretty scary.
Pull that off. I mean, they are.
They have some pretty scary.
Fans are loud.
No, I think he can go back and look at some of the things that Shermer did. I think those guys worked well together last year. I think he can go back and see, what some of the stuff
that he was trying to hire him as his OC this year.
Right. So, Stefanski even interviewed for the Vikings job, and Zimmer did not allow him to leave for New York. So I kind of think that Zimmer did that now, like looking back on it, like just as an insurance policy in case Defilippo did not work out. And so,
yes.
So now we're here. Now we're going to see if Stefanski can, this is his first opportunity. Obviously, it's probably not the way he wanted it to happen, but he's got a good opportunity here to turn things around. And I think, there's reason to think that he can do that. There's also reason not to, because he doesn't have any experience.
Yeah. I don't know. It scares me, definitely scares me because of the lack of experience. But you know who else didn't have any experience? This guy we just hired. And everybody was convinced he was going to be the bee's knees.
He was the Browns offensive coordinator.
That's what, and now look at what we hired this guy. He was going to be the next big thing, and now look at his resume. He's been fired twice on 2 garbage teams with garbage offenses.
He'll still be a head coach. He's a hot.
I mean, you're probably right, honestly. Do you think he goes to Green Bay? God, please.
Oh, I hope so.
Please let the Packers think he's amazing.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Do you think... No, we can't say that, though. I got to knock on wood, because what's going to happen is he's going to go to Green Bay, and he and Aaron Rodgers are going to reshape the NFL because they never run the ball. They only pass it. And if only we would have done that with him.
Yeah.
Would have been... Yeah. Okay. I guess last little thing on the Seahawks bit. The field goal. The blocked field goal. The blocked field goal that shouldn't have been because it was against the rules, but it's not. Yeah. Where are you at with that?
Was he going to make that anyways?
Probably not. That was 100% my take. What's he going to do? He's going to miss it. Who cares if he blocks it or not, or if it's against the rules? They're not going to score on that drive.
They still would have been down 6-0. Great.
Totally. I mean, 15 yards at that point would have helped a lot. It would have been easier. But what do you think statistically their percentages were for getting it into the end zone there? I did 10%, maybe.
What, when they were on the goal line?
What? No, say they call the penalty there, the Vikings get a 15-yard.
Yeah,
what are the chances they score a touchdown?
They're going to line up for another field goal and miss it.
Exactly.
People should be complaining not about that play call, but like the face masks that were missed, like they were so obvious. The pass interference on Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah, that was I understand. That was the only one where I understood why they made the call. But I didn't agree with it.
Ticky-tack. Like they had
totally.
They had a lot of calls like that last night where it's like, you could have let that go. Like on both sides. Like even when the Seahawks did, I was like, whatever. But I mean, and then there were some plays. I saw a video of I think Frank Clark like shoving his elbow or his forearm on Rashad Hill's throat last night. So I mean, could have called some stuff like that. There was that scuffle or whatever with Sheldon Richardson. I'm sure him being on the Seahawks didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely not. I was actually kind of surprised at how chippy it was because it really didn't look like those two teams liked each other, and I was not really expecting that.
They always do that. They try and get in your head. That's how they've played it always under Pete Carroll. If they're gonna find a way to get under your skin and screw you up, then they're gonna be able to do that. So whatever. They're scrappy.
Scrappy. Scrappy as F. Let's talk a little bit about Zimmer in this whole situation. How much of the blame for the offensive coordinator stuff do you think this is partially a Zimmer issue here, or do you think where do you stand with the head coach right now? Do you think he's the right head coach? I guess to start.
Do I think he's the right head coach for the Vikings?
Do you think they make a move here, Adam, at the end of the season?
No.
I heard that thrown around.
I mean, if you go on Facebook or whatever, where your grandma's complaining about Mike Zimmer, then he should be fired. But
my grandma loves Mike Zimmer.
I think the problem he's been having with the offense, I feel like he should if he doesn't like feel like the hire is right, like with DeFilippo, I feel like it wasn't really probably his choice. It's probably Spielman being like, oh, he's a hot candidate, you know, he's probably going to be a head coach and he wants to coach offense, so let's get this guy. You know, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Yeah. So let's get this guy. And Zimmer's just like, okay, whatever, and like not even looking at like if he passes like 90% of the time or like his track record and stuff like that. So I think he has to do a better job of like stepping in before these hires are even made. Like just like do a thorough. I know sometimes you have to make decisions in the NFL like faster than you want, but like try and be as thorough looking into these guys as you can, because obviously, you know, Norv didn't work out.
Yeah.
I think that was more of like, oh, you're my friend, you have past head coaching experience, you know, you could help me out with that. And then didn't. And then Zimmer was like, oh, I'll bring in Pat Shurmur, you guys can work together. And Norv was like, no, I don't want to. And then he left. And then Shurmur did really well, and he got a head coaching job, which is what you want. You want your offensive coordinators to do so well that they get hired as head coaches. Mm-hmm. And then DeFilippo thought he was going to do the same thing, and now he's got a head start on his head coaching opportunities.
Yes, he does. A lot of time to study, a lot of time to get ready for those interviews.
Yeah. So maybe the Browns will probably hire him. So. Yeah.
I think they'd be a good fit for each other.
Yep.
I get people wanting to put some of the blame on Zimmer because we tend to do this. If you're the head coach of the team, then everything on the team is your responsibility.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot more prevalent in like college athletics when teams get in trouble. It's like, well, hey man, it's your fault that those strippers were in the dorm room. You were supposed to know that, kind of a thing. Yeah. I understand that. But does Mike Zimmer seem like the kind of guy who like wants to be involved in the offense? Does he strike you as the kind of dude who like wants to like insert himself into what you're doing as a game plan? Like I don't think that's him. Yeah,
I think he's self-aware enough to know that his strengths are not on the offense side of the ball. Yeah. So he's going to trust the people that, you know, Spielman hires to do that. And so I think more of the blame again has to be put on Spielman, because he's the guy who's behind the hiring of these guys, not Zimmer. It doesn't sound like Zimmer has, even with Shurmur. I don't know if that was Spielman, you know, suggesting like, hey, we should bring him in, you know, and add something.
I think Spielman cares what Mike Zimmer thinks either way, you know, and like not that. Because there's a line here, and I'm sure Mike Zimmer feels the same, you know, or would tell you something similar, is that that's not my job. My job is to coach the football team. You know, like when they're here, I coach them. Like hiring a new whatever for this or that, or he's like, that's not my thing. I don't like would we hope that Rick Spielman would get some input from Mike Zimmer on who he would want to work with? God, let's hope so.
Yeah, he has to interview them, and he has to be in the room and stuff when they interview him. So it's like. But no, I hear what you're saying with the like doing a little bit of research or like being more like self-aware of like the personality issues that you're going to have. Fifth year as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the point I'm trying to make here. Long-winded, but the point I'm trying to make is that I understand people being frustrated that stuff is looking so ugly under Mike Zimmer. But I don't think Zimmer is that kind of a head coach where he's even trying to get involved in that stuff. I think if he had it his way, he would just be a defensive coordinator who like also had to do the post-game press conference. You know, I think that's the ideal head coach for him.
Do people get mad at offensive-minded head coaches when the defense plays bad? I really don't feel like they do. They always blame the defensive coordinator. So why is Zimmer taking the blame for when the offense does bad when everyone knows that he's the guy in charge of the defense? Like, I know maybe he should be more involved in more, I guess, of the head coaching aspects in the entire game. Like you see a guy like Bill Belichick, he used to be a defensive coordinator. Obviously, that's his strengths, but he has a defensive coordinator who calls the plays for the Patriots. He doesn't call the plays. And he has an offensive coordinator who calls the plays for them. He doesn't call the plays. He's just, you know, there to offer input when, you know, whenever he feels fit. And so I don't know if Zimmer should do more of that other than just calling the plays for the defense, and then after the game being like, oh, I don't know what was going on in the offense. I was focused on the defense.
So. Well, and that is like, that's my understanding of the frustration. Is like, I get you want your head coach to be more involved, but yeah, is it? I don't know. Is he just being aware and like that's not my thing, or is it like part of his job too to make sure that the offense is doing what you want it to do? And I mean, like I don't even know if there is an answer to these questions, but I feel like it's, I don't know, fair for people to ask them. I just think that there's so many garbage takes happening right now, Adam. It's
I
like
think
so
a lot
much blame to go around, and everybody wants it's like it's Kirk Cousins' fault, or it's Defilippo's fault, or it's it's like. It's more nuanced than that, y'all.
Kirk Cousins, whose contract is going to look even better next year because the cap is about to go up $10 million more next year. So,
yeah,
guess what?
I just can't handle the argument of like he's getting paid a lot, so he should be infallible. Like,
so is everyone else.
Bonkers to me.
So is Matt Stafford. So is Jimmy Garoppolo. So is Matt Ryan. How are they doing this year? Kirk Cousins has more wins than all of them.
That's what I'm saying. And it's
like Marcus Mariota is probably going to get a similar contract. Dak Prescott's probably going to get a similar contract. And this is just what quarterbacks cost, no matter if they're great or they're just mediocre. It's what they cost for you to have a solid starter in the NFL.
And here's the other thing too, is that part of the reason it feels like it's so much is because you don't sign those guys very often. So when you do it the first time, it doesn't feel like a lot because that was 5 years ago. And now fast forward 15 and you're signing a new guy. It's like, oh my God, that much guaranteed money? Well, yeah, it is. Well, and that doesn't mean he's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and that doesn't mean that he's going to be Tom Brady. It means he's going to be an slightly above average NFL quarterback, which is really all you can hope for.
I mean, did you hear see what Chris Carter said today about how the Vikings probably would have 2 wins this year if Case Keenum was the quarterback, and I don't really think that's that crazy of a thought to have, based on how the rest of the team.
I completely agree with it.
Yeah, would Case Keenum have led the Vikings on that comeback in Green Bay when they tied? But would he have made any of those throws, like to Thielen or that deep bomb to Diggs? Would Keenum have been able to do that? Probably not. Whenever Keenum the Vikings were down by a bunch, and in those few couple of games last year, Keenum was not good. So
no,
I mean, each quarterback has their upsides, but I feel the Vikings should still feel like they upgraded over Case Keenum, whose team right now also isn't doing that great. So
yeah, it's just shocking to me that people can consider it not an upgrade. Is just insane to me.
At the same time, though,
I can't fathom that.
I feel like there's a way that you can use Case Keenum to be successful, just like there is with Kirk Cousins. There's a way that you can use him to be successful, and both of their teams right now are not doing things to, be successful with these quarterbacks. Like even the Broncos, Case Keenum is successful at play action. They hardly ever run play action, and same thing pretty much with Kirk Cousins. Like he does well in that stuff. Like both quarterbacks do well in a balanced offense, but yet for some reason, neither team wants to do that.
Yeah, neither team, or maybe neither team is able to. I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me, but this is.
Well, they should have kept Penny because he hasn't played in 3 years. So. He can dance.
I truly
dance on injured knee, so he's fine.
I truly have been taken aback by some of how preposterous some of the things.
And Bradford would have been better.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it just is. It's crazy. So up next they have Miami. Miami's up next. Not sure if you knew this, but they just beat New England. They call it a miracle, but I don't know how you call it a miracle.
I have no idea how they have 7 wins.
Even a playoff game. Yeah, Tanner. What?
Well, I think they've won 6 of their 7 wins are at home this year, which is not.
Oh, really?
It's on the road. They're 1-5 on the road this year, so that's pretty good. And I think most of their wins have been within 7 points, so it's not like they're blowing teams out. It's more like they just come up with the right plays at the right time. Because their offense, their passing offense, not good. Passing defense, not good. Rushing offense, not really that great. Rushing defense, not good. They force a lot of turnovers. That's pretty much how they stay in games. Is forcing.
I was going to say, which is important and can allow you to win games that you probably shouldn't be winning.
But it can also lead to blowouts if you don't force turnovers.
Exactly right, which we are very familiar with here. How do you, first of all, on the New England Miami, what is Gronk doing on the field at the end of the game?
He's playing safety. He's the fastest option they have. For some reason, I think he was on like the Hail Mary team. For some reason, they thought Ryan Tannehill could throw the ball 70 yards, which I don't think he's ever done.
Literally 70 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's ever done that.
He was a wide receiver in college?
Yeah. Like,
but he's going to throw 70 yards? Come on
not Josh Allen back there.
Oh, man. And then the most beautiful thing in the entire world was him, like, falling over, trying to tackle. Oh, just delicious.
How convenient, too, that was a 69-yard touchdown, and Gronk was the one that...
I can't remember who had it, but a tweet that was like, you could overhear him mumbling nice as he was like falling to the ground and the 69-yard touchdown was being scored. I'm paraphrasing the tweet, obviously.
That was
very good.
Fun, I mean, but it wasn't in the playoffs, so it didn't mean that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
when it's as good as
miracles are pretty cool, but is it really a miracle if that's like,
oh wow, you beat the Patriots in the middle of the season? Cool.
Yeah, who cares?
You might not even make the playoffs. Still fun though. That's why, every week is fun in the NFL, no matter who's playing. Even if it's Jaguars,
Sunday, Adam, that's why we say
Titans, and Derrick Henry's running all over people.
Do you think the Vikings can win this game? Do you think they need to win this game?
Yeah.
Two-part question.
Yes, and yes. Surprising answers, I know. Yeah, this must win. I think each of their next 3 games are obviously must wins. They have two other next 3 games are at home. They got to take care of business at home, even though they might never get a home game in the playoffs. They still have a slim chance at the division. Somehow, still do. I think if the Bears lose,
Chicago's never going to lose again, so it doesn't matter.
But if they lose 2 more games, including the last game against the Vikings, then I think the Vikings win the division if the Vikings win all their games. But they have to win all their games. So,
yeah,
but this week,
yeah,
it's important. But at the same time, you catch a Miami team that's also fighting for their their playoff lives, whatever. So they're not going to come in, just let you run all over them. It's just going to be interesting because you don't know what to expect now from the Vikings offense because they have a new guy running the show. I would think that Dalvin Cook's probably going to be involved more, especially if Thielen and Diggs are going to be quadruple covered the whole game. You probably don't need to have Treadwell on the field ever again. I still don't know what value he provides. I would rather have Rashad Hill out there as a wide receiver than Treadwell because he'll gain as much yards, if not more. And maybe get the ball to Kyle Rudolph a little bit more because every time he gets targeted now, it seems like they have to be in the red zone, and that seems kind of obvious because he's a big dude instead of just throwing down the middle and getting him the ball because he might not get a lot of yards after the catch, but he's usually pretty good at catching the ball in general.
Yeah. Well, if you just give the guy the ball and he puts his hands up and he falls forwards, that's like 6 yards right there. The guy's like 10 feet tall. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he can. I think they do need to get Rudolph the ball more. I think Treadwell needs to be gone. I agree with those things completely. I just don't know. I feel like now what's going to happen is everybody is going to be like, yes, now we can have the offense we've always dreamt of. And I don't think the offense that Vikings fans have been dreaming of exists for this team.
No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in 3 games with no off season or even a bye week to.
That's what I'm saying.
Prepare.
Yeah,
especially on a short week.
But I say that kind of as reverse psychology because as Vikings fans, we should be the most excited right now because this is all house money. Because it's over. Like, as far as the like expectations are concerned, like, it's gone. You fired your offensive coordinator. You're starting over. You got 3 games to make a push, and then the playoffs. And what are the odds of them missing? What would they have to do to miss the playoffs?
I think they have to lose all their games, pretty much.
That's what I'm saying.
So
it would basically be a shock if they were not in the playoffs. I mean, they got a chance here. This is like, we should be celebrating as Vikings fans.
I'm pretty sure
expectations are gone.
It's going to be hard to get in the playoffs with 7 wins. So they probably need to win at least 2. Because I believe the Panthers are playing the Saints. So there's probably another loss for the Panthers. The Eagles are in it still somehow.
Yes, they are.
Barely.
Yep. Barely.
The Bucks are
Washington's done, so they got Mark Sanchez.
The Bucks are pretty much out of it. Cowboys probably going to win the division. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be tough for the Vikings
basically
not
Philly.
To make the playoffs. Yeah, it's Eagles. So
yeah, I'm excited. I like halfway through my day today, I shifted into, this is great. There's no reason to freak out anymore because there are no expectations.
I'm excited for a wild card rematch between the Vikings and Bears in Chicago with the Sunday Night Football crew with Michaels and Collinsworth just ripping on the Vikings the whole time. So I'm excited.
I would rather have that crew ripping the Vikings than anything to do with the Monday Night crew.
Oh my God! We didn't even talk about that. Oh my!
Holy cannoli!
Does Jason Witten know how to speak? Does he know how to like put sentences together? He was like making up words last night.
And then like halfway through the game, him and Boogers started getting weird. And
Boogers like, I don't think they should have gone for the touchdown because if they miss it, then it's still you get the field goal. It's a 1-possession game. You miss a field goal, and I'm like, if he misses a field goal, then it's still
a 1-possession game either way.
They just offer
so bad.
Like I feel so bad for the play-by-play guy because he's pretty good. He just has to work.
Yeah, Tessitore, he is good, and he's going to get canned with the rest of them.
But like, I don't know, they could bring in 2 other guys. But like, I feel like Booger and Witten were like I know they're far apart, like one's on the field and one's in the booth, but I felt like at points last night they were going to come to blows because one was like, no, the defense, no, the offense. Like,
the last thing I want to listen to when I'm watching a football game is 2 guys be all at each other, like get all like masculine and weird about it.
Put Lisa Salters in the booth. She's good
for real.
Do her color.
I don't want to like talk a bunch of smack about. I mean, Witten's still new, so whatever. But I like Booger McFarland when he's on the ESPN, like the Sports Center stuff, like those little like segments. I think he's good in that. But wow, is he?
That's like, but that's like
really don't like him on Monday.
That's like when Tony Kornheiser was in the Monday Night Football booth. They thought that was a good idea.
There's so many bad Monday Night. Do you remember Dennis Miller? Why?
Yeah. And it's weird because like ESPN, they're like the top sports station in the world, and you'd think that they would probably want to have the best of the best doing the Monday Night Football broadcast, since it's probably their most one of their most watched broadcasts of the year of each week. But I don't know. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, like someone bad. I heard someone on some reaction show or whatever say how they muted the TV last night, and it was like a pleasant experience because they didn't have to listen to.
No, totally. Honest to God, I have done that before. I have turned Monday Night Football games to the ESPN2 because they do the Spanish. I was
looking for that last night, and I couldn't find it. I'd rather watch that.
What was I doing last night?
Because I'm sure
I had turned down, or I must have.
I'm sure like the block kick would be like, oh my god.
Yeah, that would have been way better in Spanish. You're so right. Golly. I can't.
Or the Russell Wilson pass.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I still cannot handle. Also, why Kendricks? You score a touchdown there.
Yeah.
7-0 or what was it? 7-6.
7-3 or 7-3.
Did they have 6 yet? 3.
7-3.
Oh, changes everything. John Defilippo still has a job today, but changes everything.
Yeah, I like
He
how
catch
people are
a ball and score a
blaming
touchdown.
Mike Zimmer when the Seahawks had 6 points, like, going into the fourth quarter. But it's Mike Zimmer's fault.
And then the 7 of those points were off of a fumble from your terrible offense.
Well,
So-
yeah. I mean, that's at the end of the game when they're trying to do too much, which seems to happen when Kirk Cousins is trying to move around and never a good idea. Also, they were having success with the quarterback sneaks on short yard situations. Why did they just stop that? Just go do it until you get stopped. Just do it until they can stop you, which I don't know. It's confusing.
Yeah, man, it's
all year
it
it's
is
confusing.
And I'm glad that this era of Vikings football is over, because after 4 or 5 games of the way that offense has been going, or however many games it's been like this, like plotty, stagnant, like crappy offense, like I was ready for that to be done. Could you imagine a whole nother season of that offensive scheme?
No,
I would have been very, very frustrated.
You look at a team like the Falcons, who are in a similar situation where they have a ton of talent on the offensive side of the ball, but their offensive coordinator just doesn't know how to call the right plays. And he didn't last year, but for some reason the Falcons were like, oh, we'll give you another shot. And same thing this year, and they're going to miss the playoffs, and their head coach might get fired. So
that's the other thing is, if you're Mike Zimmer and you're telling this offensive coordinator to do something and he's not doing it, how many weeks do you go before you're like, you got to fire him? Like, we have to get rid of him because this is my job that I'm going to lose right now.
I believe that the telling Defilippo to run the ball has been going on a lot longer than the past couple of weeks of him going to the public. Like when Zimmer goes to the public,
you think him going to the public?
Yeah, he's got more respect for his coaches than to do that instead of going to them first.
100. Yes.
Doing
that had been an issue for weeks before he went to the meeting.
Doing that is like
he didn't know what else to do.
Effort. Yeah, he just and then what? Defilippo had to answer the questions last week, and now he doesn't this week, so he's got less duties. But those coordinator press conferences will probably be pretty interesting tomorrow.
Oh, I am just so it's fun from our perspective, or from my perspective.
Oh my God,
as we get to talk about it, write about it, all this stuff. It's so awesome.
I told my wife when Defilippo got fired, I was like, oh, I haven't felt a rush like this in so long. Like,
for real,
it feels so good. But
I was
People
telling
don't
my buddy, I was
understand.
like, I haven't been this excited to do a podcast since the Miracle. Like, seriously, like I was jazzed.
People who don't do this for a living, they don't understand. Like, even if it's bad news, actually, bad news is way more fun to talk about than a
It's
miracle.
all good, yes.
So I mean, as long as someone doesn't get hurt or gets arrested, then it's all good. I know people are like, oh, he's losing his job. Why are you celebrating? He'll get another job. Don't worry. And then he still has a year left on his contract that the Vikings have to pay him for. So I don't feel really.
And he's going to get a job next year. And even if all that fails, he still has the show on the Travel Channel for the cooking stuff that he did previously. Anthony Bourdain. I think he looks like Anthony Bourdain. I know.
He does look like a chunkier Anthony Bourdain, but yeah. Shorter, chunkier Anthony Bourdain.
I just say it's my last chance. We're not going to talk about him anymore. I've been waiting for the right time. I don't know if it's offensive because it's an Italian thing probably that I'm not even aware of. But I don't know. Every time I saw him, I was like, Anthony Bourdain. Love that show.
Yeah.
Parts unknown.
Now they're both gone.
Very different kinds of gone though. Do you want to do a prediction on the Miami game?
Sure, why not?
I mean, we might as well.
Yeah.
Do you predict anybody getting fired, first of all?
After the game? Or
Yeah.
during the game?
Between now and the Miami game. Do you
Between now and the
anticipate
Miami game?
anybody else?
No, I don't think anyone else is going to get
I'm
fired.
kidding. Just fire proof it. Actually, just wipe the whole staff out. Bring in a new squad. No problem. I can't. I mean,
For somehow George Edwards would randomly be able to stick around because he hasn't messed up yet because he doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Him and
We'll go.
Stefanski, just like they like come out of the rubble.
Yeah, they're like the radiation, like they just can withstand anything.
I don't want to call them cockroaches, but that's
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
they're better than that. But yeah, you get the point.
Maybe like the bunkers of the Vikings, the war bunkers.
Yes, there you go.
That's a little better. We'll go 23 to 23-10 Vikings.
23-10 Vikings.
Make a statement with their offense and score 23 points by running the
That
ball
is a bold prediction.
over 35 times. You can put that down too.
Over 35 runs.
Well, have you seen what the Ravens?
Because I've never been closer to picking against.
I feel like the Ravens are running
Yeah,
like
what?
70% of the time. Have you seen what they're doing with Lamar Jackson? They run like 70% of the
Lamar
time,
Jackson is-
and they've won all their games.
He has been one of my favorite players to watch since whatever year he popped up in Louisville the first year. Like
I think-
there's some about the way that kid throws the football. I could watch it all day.
Yeah, I
could
think
watch it all day.
John
It's just
Harbaugh
like a
gets
flick.
fired.
It's like thick.
I think Harbaugh should get fired just for not putting him in sooner.
Poor Joe Flacco. Also,
What?
side
He
note,
won the
maybe
Super-
this is
And he got
stop,
a huge
stop.
contract out of him.
Listen, Super Bowl champion. Listen. Do you think this is a separate podcast, like maybe a special one that we'll have to do later? Is Kirk Cousins the second coming of Joe Flacco? Is
Well-
Kirk Cousins going to pop up for just one
Well,
real quick Super Bowl run and then return back to Murr?
Would Vikings?
I'd be
fans
fine
really?
with it if it was for the...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well-
I'm cool with it. If you just want the 1 year and we get a Super Bowl, that's fine.
Yeah. Is he more Joe Flacco or Eli Manning? But like at the same time, I feel like Kirk Cousins is still pretty young for a quarterback, right?
He is.
30?
He is.
30
He
is young.
is.
Is this
Not
like
even-
his fifth season as a starter?
Dude, 30's the new rookie.
But how old's Tom Brady? Like 47? He's older than
Yeah,
Kicker?
I think he's 47 years old. Yeah.
He's
41, legit, though. Isn't he legitimately 41 years old?
he's over 40. Yeah.
Also, have you seen Adam Vinatieri looking like the oldest man in the history of football?
Old gray
He's got
beard.
like a white beard, and
Looks like-
he's still just kicking.
Looks like Dumbledore out there.
Okay, my prediction. I'm going to go 14-10 Vikings.
Oh.
Because I think the defense is going to play really well, and I think
And
they're
you're
going
like,
to be
well,
able to just hang on to that.
You guys aren't going to score touchdowns, and we will.
Then we're going to have to. Yes, that was exactly what I was going to say. Was the defense is going to score a touchdown. The Vikings will basically have the same offense, but everybody will feel great about it because it's a new offensive coordinator. They won't run the ball well. They won't protect well. They will score a touchdown late, and the defense will score, and they'll win. And people will be so happy and so thankful, and it won't look that much different.
I think we'll know
Pessimistic.
pretty soon, early in the game, whether or not this offense is going to work. Because the past couple of weeks, I think they've gotten like one first down on their first drive of the game.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
they can.
Delay a game.
Move
That's
the
the
ball.
other thing. We didn't even talk about.
It's
the
an
delay
away
game
game in
is
Seattle.
just-
You can't hear anything.
I
Yeah.
heard that was another one of the hot takes was, well, is Kirk Cousins changing these plays? And the answer is no, because he's getting to the line with 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
They're getting up, they're lining up, and they're snapping the ball. There's not enough time to do anything else.
Changing the
Or at least
plays to
wasn't last
what?
night. Checking out of,
Screen
like, say it
pass
was a
behind
run,
him?
and he's like, run's not going to work, I'm going to pass it. Yeah, that's what I kid you not. This is what people are saying, Adam. It's
You're right about
so
that.
fun to
Whole,
listen
just like the success last year hurting them with, like
yeah.
letting all those random fans come out and feel like they have something productive to say about the team.
Yeah. Well, it's like everybody feels invested because there was so much that happened late last year.
Yeah.
And I
And the
get
Super
that,
Bowl
and
there
that's what
last
you want
year.
from a franchise. Yeah, all these things. And so there was just like this huge expectation that it was like, oh, we're just going to get back there. And it's like, oof, that's not how that works, especially not in Minnesota with this football team. Like,
No.
That's not going to work. And then also, I think the biggest thing that you can't bring it up too much, obviously, but like having your offensive line coach and a guy who got along with Zimmer so well and was like.
I mean, we should have probably known
that we kind of.
The season was probably not going to be what it was after that. Should have probably. Already.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what?
Well, when even then we should have.
The year Corey Stringer passed, that was the only year Dennis Green had a losing record with the Vikings. Then he got fired.
Yeah.
Which was probably the worst decision the franchise has ever made.
Was to fire Denny?
Yeah. After his first losing season? Yeah. After 10 years of winning record? Yeah. That was probably the worst decision the franchise ever made. And then hiring Mike Guy.
Man, this is what happens. This is what happens with franchises.
Overreaction.
You get sustained success, and people get spoiled. And then they want, it's got to be the Super Bowl. Got to be the Super Bowl. No, because then you reset, and you're garbage for however many years.
Why can't the Vikings just play in a division like the Patriots, where every other team sucks? Like, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. Even the Patriots this year, they're not even that good, and they're still going to get a bye because everyone else in the AFC sucks.
100%. No, I've been seeing it for a couple of weeks now. How many Super Bowls would the Vikings have won if they had a division with Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets every year? They would have gotten at least several first-round buys that they didn't get otherwise. So I don't know. All right, bud. Great talk.
Yeah.
No kids yet, right?
No, today's the due date. Nothing yet. We'll see.
All right. Well,
next time I might have a new roommate. So.
Have a new roommate, and we'll look forward to that. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
for you
me too.
All right, buddy.
Hopefully we'll
talk to you next week.
Start it off with a win.
Yeah, that's right. Only good vibes.
But probably not.
Probably not. Skull Vikes. See you next week.